One way or another, the NCAA tournament ends tonight here in Indianapolis, and maybe college basketball and the tournaments as we have come to know them end tonight here in Indianapolis. Hey, how are you folks? Jason Horwitz, glad to be back with you here on Destination Indianapolis, presented by the all-new Infinity M. Glad to have CBSSports.com's Gary Parrish, CBS College Sports' Steve Lapis. And guys, what we're talking about, of course, is the expansion topic, something that was brought up on Thursday and something that will continue to get brought up whenever a new deal gets done, if it gets done, whomever that may be with. 96 teams, whatever it is, 68, assuming it's 96. Have we seen the last of the tournament as we know it?
I think so. Unfortunately, I think so. It's going to go to 96. You don't spend as much time as Greg Shaheen spent the other day trying to sell this to the American public through the basketball media unless you have real plans to go to 96. People keep talking about it's going to ruin the tournament. I don't think that's true. The tournament will still be great, but the build-up to the tournament, February, March, the bubble talk, who's in, who's out, what happens if UConn loses here, what happens if Memphis loses here, what happens if Ole Miss can win this one, maybe lose that one, but win the next two. That all goes out the window. Now everybody's in, and that's what it kills. Tournament, great. It'll be fun. Once the game starts, it's wonderful, but the build up to it, the conference tournaments, we lose a lot.
Steve, let's go along the lines of the tournament itself, because this particular tournament, we've seen so many unexpected events. Butler's playing for the national championship. They played Michigan State. First time ever that we saw two 5 seeds go against each other, and two 5 seeds ever in the Final Four. Will we see more of that with seven games to get there for some of these teams?
Absolutely, because I think that what's going to happen is you do have mediocre teams that can get hot and beat teams, especially the way college basketball is now, where the Blake Griffins are gone, the Kevin Durants are gone. Those guys, if they were playing in college basketball today, they wouldn't be playing for Butler. They'd be playing at BCS schools, so that would make them more dominant. So right now, you're going to end up having this thing, and the tournament is going to be great. I agree with Gary, because it's the tournament, and it's all about getting a champion. But there's going to be a lot more upsets along the way, because you're adding to the tournament so many more teams that would be considered underdogs. So if you're going to have more underdogs, you're going to have more upsets. It's going to be wild.
And right now, with 65 teams, about 20 of them are totally irrelevant once the tournament begins. Right, when you add to 96, suddenly you've got an Ole Miss team in there, a Connecticut team, a North Carolina team, a Memphis team, a Dayton team. Those teams then play on that in the opening round, and then they play into the main bracket. So suddenly the 1 versus 16 is not Duke versus Pine Bluff. It's Duke versus Dayton, and suddenly you'll see the 16s beat the ones, and it becomes a much tougher road because you don't get a gimme anymore if you're a 1 seed.
Let me ask you guys this, because we've talked so much about how this affects college basketball and all of that, and there's been a lot of that talk this week with Butler, and if they were to win, how that affects. How does this affect college basketball as a whole?
I don't think the expansion is going to do much with the tournament. March, April will be fine, but the build-up, it makes the regular season totally irrelevant. Now, what we hear all the time is the regular season's watered down anyway, and maybe that's true. Maybe the NCAA's position is it's already watered down. People already don't really care outside of basketball enthusiasts until after the Super Bowl, and so what does it matter? But to try to pretend that it won't water down the tournaments and make everything irrelevant. Somebody did a mock 96 bracket, and there were 13 Big East teams in it. Again, the regular season won't matter except for seeding, and I think it's going to factor in a lot.
And conference tournaments obviously won't matter at all. As a matter of fact, you're probably better off losing, before the conference tournament. And what's it going to do for scheduling? People aren't going to try to schedule hard games anymore. If you play in the Big East, if you go 8-10 in the Big East Conference and play the worst non-conference schedule, you're going to be in the top 96, I think, without a question. So what's it going to do to how coaches are going to approach the regular season now? That's going to be interesting to see also.
He's exactly right. Right now, we already see people like Northern Iowa or Butler or Wichita State having a problem scheduling. Now, Seth Greenberg's non-conference schedule this year gets him in the tournament. And once you know that as a coach at a power conference, you're not going out and playing these neutral sites against the Butlers and Wichita States. You're not going and doing 2-for-1s or home and homes. You're going to play the weakest non-league schedule you can play, plus some rivalries, and then get in league, go 8-8 in the league, and you're in the tournament.
But the most important part, we're all still going to love the tournament. And so whether, as you mentioned, whether it's 96, 65, whatever it is, come March 17th next year, it will be fantastic, and we're still going to love it.
I think it's going to be double madness.
Yeah.
As madness as much as we call it March Madness now, it's going to be March Madness.
It'll be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll throw that all out there. Maybe we could coin that, and maybe we'll get you the patent on it, Steve Lapis, as well. That'll do it for Destination Indianapolis, presented by the all-new Infiniti M. Of course, next year it'll be Destination Houston when the Final Four hits there in 2011. Don't forget to go to cbssports.com/memorabilia. Sign up for your chance for the Inspired Coaches Sweepstakes. Win an autographed basketball by all 4 Inspired Coaches. For Gary Parrish and Steve Lapis, I'm Jason Horowitz. It's time for you to have that debate. Take care, folks.